So what's your magic find formula for Diablo 2? And we're exploring this from the perspective of, we were looking at equipment, magic items, named items, yellow items, unique items, and of course, green items, building sets, and how eventually, as we make our way through the acts, there's going to be like 2 or 3 different sets of armor, sets of equipment, sets of items that you have. Generally speaking, that first set, and of course we're always looking to upgrade our sets, that first group is going to be your day-to-day wear, what you're utilizing as you kind of go through the different acts and make your way through the various quests. Then we're going to have a set of items and a grouping of items and weapons focusing on some of the different bosses, some of the different primary encounters. Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers here. You're going to encounter those for yourself, but something where we need a little bit more of a push or a little bit more of a resistance or something very, very specialized for the type of boss, lieutenant encounter that we're facing. And then the third group, the third set, that is the same for every character class, magic item find, focusing on magic item runs. Now, naturally, the first part of that is going to be the location. Certain areas we're going to farm then better compared to others. Yes, as you make your way through some of the trash mobs, they might drop a rare or they might drop a green. That's a possibility. It happens from time to time. It's pretty rare, but when it does happen, you remember it. Like I can remember the past 3 or 4 times, just literally making my way through Act 1 at the start of the game, and things are just dropping. Behind the scenes, the seed list and that calculation, I probably got so lucky I'm never going to get that again. But then there's certain areas where you've got what I call mini bosses, and then of course the main bosses. Mini boss example would be like the Countess, and main boss would be the end of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, fighting those. So with that, they tend to drop, it's obviously a different seed list, something a little bit more in depth. It's going to drop a higher amount possibility of items. So magic finding gear, of course, is something that we're going to utilize to boost that in our favor. It's one of the gear item sets. But at the same time, I can't go so weak in that it's going to put me at a disadvantage for armor and other items and I get killed. So the first thing I want to find early on, what I tend to notice with other players and what I've done is you've got limited space. It piles up fast, and especially with the charms that we want to keep for specific points and times to swap them in and out. Rings you kind of upgrade along the way, right? I never really go backwards. I get a specific type of ring, same with amulets, and it has a number percentile. If I get something a little bit better, then I sell the old one. I'm not going back. But magic find rings, that I'm looking to hold on to. Once I get those, I'm going to keep those rings because the left and a right ring, 2 of those, that's going to be a great start to magic find. Then we've got topazes. And, you know, I've experimented with both. I've experimented with just as soon as you get little chips, putting them on in the beginning of Act 1. But not that much stuff is going to drop early on because I'm not at a high enough level. I mean, certainly, I don't know exactly what it is. I don't remember. But as you level up, it pulls from different lists. It's going to give you a chance of getting better items. So at the higher levels, you're not only going to get better stuff, but there's certain items and sets, yellows and greens, that only drop at certain levels. Like you have to qualify, be level 10, be level 15. And of course, the better stuff is at the higher levels. So putting some of those topaz chips in like some just, 2-socket leather armor, what am I really going to get? A couple of different blues that I'm not really going to use and I'm just going to sell after I identify them. So I like to hold on to my chips until we get the cube, until I can fully transmute them to full-sized gems. Then what it's about is socketing the best generic armor that I can, putting them in for that, putting them in for the helmet. That is the core of my magic finding gear. That, along with the rings, but that's only half the equation. The other half, of course, is going to be farming either through total mobs, and that's just going as fast as I can. It's a small amount, but if I play the numbers enough, it's going to happen. Or looking to specifically farm certain mini-bosses and the end bosses. Barbarian, magic item find. that's a separate character build. That's something to look at. And I primarily play a druid and a barbarian. And even after all these years, I kind of have a barbarian magic find build. And I think part of that is a holdover from being a board gamer where I'm a completionist with poor impulse control. So I want to find as many items, I want to find as many things as I can. And as a barbarian, it's a great way to do that. Magic rings, magic find, armor, magic find, go in, hitting the magic find clicky and just increasing my odds. First on the kill, then first on the search to find. But, and it does drop a lot more, but is that really necessary? We're kind of sidebarring now. Is that really necessary as a barbarian? Because I've got to pay the tax and put in a point for find potion. And I know some people aren't annoyed by the tax, but I am. I skills that I have to pay a point to unlock or put one or two in for a little bit of synergy that takes away from the primary skill that I want, or skills that I'm going to use at the beginning of the game but end game are not going to be used and I need to unlock that tree. I like to try and avoid that as best I can. If it's a point or two, right? If we're talking about a really, really focused meta character versus more of a narrative play character. Depends on my build. I'm talking about a meta build. And then putting points into find magic item, which if I'm going to dump, 10, 15, 20 into it, I think anything over 5, probably 10 to 15, then that's taking away from some other skill, some other build anywhere, just to get another go at it. I sometimes feel that if I put the completionist poor impulse control thing aside, I feel like just magic find on barbarian is kind of like a trap. Use those skill points for what makes the barbarian the beast and really build up those hits to be able to deliver them, as opposed to the magic find. Just have your run through, have your gear, do it for that. But we want to get those sets, we want to get those rares, we want to get that stuff. Half of it is just chewing through the numbers, running the numbers, but also boosting it with the gear, boosting it with sets, boosting it with your trinkets and tokens and amulets and rings and everything that you possibly can to tilt that seed list, to tilt that matrix in your favor.